Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4 on this Tuesday. Danica Luz, and one more time for Susan Simon before you get married on Friday.
Bells are ringing. whether that's my mentality right now, just my mental state, or the bells of the church, but regardless,
big news. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And here's what's making news on this Tuesday. We expect House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to formally announce the start of an impeachment process any minute now. We'll share the latest live from Washington.
And grant money will soon be available to communities to make sure elections securities. But let's make sure we get to that press conference right away. Turning it over to Washington right now.
On that day, the Intelligence Community Inspector General formally notified the Congress that the administration was forbidding him from turning over a whistleblower complaint on Constitution Day. This is a violation of law. Shortly thereafter, press reports began to break of a phone call by the President of the United States calling upon a foreign power to intervene in his election. This is a breach of his constitutional responsibilities. The facts are these. The Intelligence Community Inspector General, who was appointed by President Trump, determined that the complaint is both of urgent concern and credible. And its disclosure, he went on to say, relates to one of the most significant and important of the Director of National Intelligence's responsibility to the American people. On Thursday, the Inspector General testified before the House Intelligence Committee stating that the acting Director of National Intelligence blocked him from disclosing the whistleblower complaint. This is a violation of law. The law is unequivocal. The DNI staff, it says the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, shall provide Congress the full whistleblower complaint. For more than 25 years, I've served on the Intelligence Committee as a member, as the ranking member, as part of the Gang of Four, even before I was in the leadership. I was there when we created the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. That did not exist before 2004. I was there even earlier in the 90s when we wrote the whistleblower laws and continue to write them to improve them to ensure the security of our intelligence and the safety of our whistleblowers. I know what their purpose was, and we proceeded with balance and caution as we wrote the laws. I can say with authority the Trump administration's actions undermine both our national security and our intelligence and our protections of the whistleblowers, more than both. This Thursday, the acting DNI will appear before the House Intelligence Committee. At that time, he must turn over the whistleblower's full complaint to the committee. He will have to choose whether to break the law or honor his responsibility to the Constitution. On the final day of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, when our Constitution was adopted, Americans gathered on the steps of Independence Hall to await the news of the government our founders had crafted. They asked Benjamin Franklin, "What do we have, a republic or a monarchy?" Franklin replied, "A republic if you can keep it." Our responsibility is to keep it. Our republic endures because of the wisdom of our Constitution, enshrined in three co-equal branches of government, serving as checks and balances on each other. The actions taken to date by the President have seriously violated the Constitution, especially when the President says, Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. For the past several months, we have been investigating in our committees and litigating in the courts, so the House can gather all the relevant facts and consider whether to exercise its full Article 1 powers, including a constitutional power of the utmost gravity, approval of articles of impeachment. And this week, the President has admitted to asking the President of Ukraine to take actions which would benefit him politically. The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the President's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections. Therefore, today, I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. I'm directing our 6 committees to proceed with their investigations under that umbrella of impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law. Getting back to our founders, in the darkest days of the American Revolution, Thomas Paine wrote, "The times have found us. The times found them to fight for and establish our democracy. The times have found us today, not to place ourselves in the same category of greatness as our founders, but to place us in the urgency of protecting and defending our Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic." In the words of Ben Franklin, to keep our republic. I thank our chairman, Chairman Nadler, Chairman Nadler of Judiciary, Chairman Schiff of Intelligence, Chairman Engel of Foreign Affairs, Chairman Cummings of Oversight, and Chairman Cummings I've been in touch with constantly. He's a master of so much, but including inspectors general and whistleblowers. Congresswoman Richie Neal of the Ways and Means Committee, Congresswoman Maxine Waters of the Foreign Financial Services Committee. And I commend all of our members, our colleagues, for their thoughtful approach to all of this, for their careful statements. God bless them, and God bless America. Thank you all.
Madam Speaker, never before has the president been convicted by the Senate. What does this accomplish if the Senate doesn't convict?
That was House Speaker Nancy Pelosi formally announcing an impeachment inquiry by the House of Representatives. It's been a busy, eventful day in Washington, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are joined now by Director of the Marquette Law School poll, that being Charles Franklin, joining us now. And first, I would love to kind of lay the groundwork here, because we heard a lot of jargon getting thrown around there. Yes. What got us to this point? Can we talk a little bit about this transcript and the whistleblower report?
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated set of things, including the aftermath of the Mueller report, that there were still some investigations going on. But what's going on right here is that within the last week or so, we learned that within the intelligence community, a whistleblower complaint was filed with the Inspector General in the National Intelligence, alleging that there were threats to national security. The Inspector General determined that that was an urgent matter, and under the law as normally understood, is required to present that to Congress. The Trump administration decided to block that, and the acting director of national intelligence has refused to allow that to go to Congress on advice of the Justice Department. So we're at loggerheads over this, with Congress now aware that this exists, but unable to get access to it. As the Speaker said, the acting director of national intelligence is testifying on Thursday. We'll see if he says anything more. And I gather today President Trump said he would release the transcript of his phone call with the Ukrainian president. But that is not the same as this whistleblower complaint. So we actually have a couple of moving parts here, one of which involves the administration's delay in forwarding about $400 million in foreign aid, military aid to Ukraine. That was, we've learned again just in the last day or two, blocked by the president and the White House back in July, and was finally released on September 11th. And President Trump has given two different explanations for that delay. So that's sort of setting the table of how we got to where we are.
And all of that was enough to change the Speaker's mind about starting this impeachment inquiry. What does that mean? Where do we go next?
I think one of the big things that changed is you've seen a number of Democrats who had been reluctant to move forward with an impeachment inquiry coming on board, including 7 freshman Democrats from moderate suburban districts, the kind of people who might face an electoral problem by doing this. What happens next, and the Speaker was just a little bit vague on this, she said she was instructing 6 House committees to proceed with an investigation. That's a little vague to my ear about exactly what that does in terms of impeachment. In both President Nixon's case and President Clinton's case, the House voted instructing the Judiciary Committee to hold hearings and prepare articles of impeachment. I didn't hear her mention that at all today, so that step may be further down the road. On the other hand, the rules of impeachment are mostly unwritten. It's not something that comes up that often, and so there's no ironclad mechanism for how it proceeds.
She seemed to be very cautious.
Which she has been a lot because of I think the concern, first of all, about more moderate Democrats who might be embroiled in this, but also it's a far reach to believe that the Republican-controlled Senate would put together 2/3 vote to actually remove the president from office. And so the counter-argument to why not do impeachment is, if it has no chance in the Senate, right, what is the point of doing it? If we go all the way back to the founding, Alexander Hamilton wrote an article about how impeachment was such a political thing that it would hinge not on the evidence, but on the power of the parties and the interests, and in the end would be a very polarizing thing. And I think you hear a faint echo of that in Pelosi's concerns.
So this is just the beginning of a very long process.
I think so.
He's not being impeached at this point.
Oh, no. We're a long ways away from anything like that.
Charles, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on short notice.
So speaking of the president, he continues to tout a nationalist message on an international stage. He spoke to the UN General Assembly for a third time today, criticizing other countries for unfair trade policies, illegal immigration policies, and socialist leanings. President Trump focused on the idea that nations should be looking and putting their own interests first, saying that the future belongs to patriots.
Globalism exerted a religious pull over past leaders, causing them to ignore their own national interests. But as far as America is concerned, those days are over.
Now, the president did end the speech on a peaceful note, saying he did not seek any conflict with any nation, but will never fail to defend America's interests.
The 2020 election will be here before you know it, and clerks around Wisconsin will now get the chance to upgrade their election systems.
The state agency in charge of elections voted today to allow cities and towns to apply for more than $1 million in federal grant money. Rose Schmidt explains how they're hoping that helps make elections a little bit more secure. Rose?
Communities with the greatest need will get priority to upgrade their election systems. So that likely means some of the smallest, most rural would get that grant money. The Wisconsin Elections Commission unanimously decided today to give local towns up to $1,200 for things like new computers or upgraded software. Wisconsin was one of more than 20 states that federal authorities say Russian hackers tried to target during the 2016 election cycle. The board's chair says many people don't realize how low-tech some towns in Wisconsin are, and it only takes one having an issue to make the entire system vulnerable.
It is our strength in Wisconsin that we have a very distributed election management system, and most of the time that makes us resistant to attack. But it's also always the case that you're only as strong as your weakest link.
The money will first go to clerks in the 7th Congressional District because a special election is scheduled there next January to replace Congressman Sean Duffy from Wausau. The clerks in the town of Dane and town of Dunn tell me they will consider applying if they meet the criteria. Larger governments like Madison and Cottage Grove say they likely won't have a need for this grant money because they already meet the security requirements.
All right, Rose Schmidt reporting. Thank you. Governor Tony Evers says he plans to push the Republican-controlled legislature to pass gun control measures and legalize marijuana during the upcoming session. Evers spoke at a lunch this afternoon organized by WISCPolitics.com. Democratic lawmakers have introduced a bill requiring universal background checks for gun purchases and a red flag law to allow judges to take firearms away from people determined to be a risk. Most Republicans oppose both measures. However, Speaker Robin Vos has been open to marijuana legislation.
The Sauk County Sheriff's Office says they are still looking for information about an apparent homicide there. The Sheriff's Office has identified the man now who was found in an isolated area in the town of Fairfield. That man, 37-year-old Christopher Little. While authorities have not said how he died, they do believe the victim was targeted. If you know anything that could help investigators, you are asked to call the Sauk County Sheriff's Office.
Well, there's more to come at 4. Want to feel better? Just step outside.
That's at least the advice from Consumer Reports. We're giving you the results of a new study that says simply changing your routine could do wonders for your health. That's when Live at 4 continues. Welcome back. Patients hand over some of their most sensitive personal information when they visit the doctor.
And that's why hackers are targeting medical facilities. In June, the lab testing company Quest Diagnostics revealed hackers got access to the personal information of some 12 million patients. Days later, another testing company, LabCorp, announced nearly 8 million of its customer records were exposed. The Department of Health and Human Services tracks health data breaches, and almost weekly, multiple hacks are reported, targeting everything from hospitals to insurance providers to device manufacturers. Even Velasquez from the Identity Theft Resource Center says the number of medical records stolen has tripled in the past year.
What that means is the thieves are getting better at collecting more sensitive data per incident, per attack.
Researchers say medical facilities should be storing patients' financial and personal data separate from their main network so private information can remain private. Stocks fell today as investors keep an eye on President Trump's impeachment. The Dow Industrials lost 142 points, closing at 26,807. The NASDAQ Composite Index fell 118. The S&P 500 was off 25. Are you feeling tired, stressed by the pressures of your life? Consumer Report says one easy and free way to feel better is to simply open your door and step out into nature.
That's right. There is a wealth of scientific evidence that shows stress hormones drop and health benefits rise after even small doses in green space. Here's Leah Linscheid.
Like a lot of us, Maura Costello has a busy family life and a stressful job. When she feels overwhelmed, she turns to nature for some relief. Today, she's meditating in the woods with nature guide John Polemis.
We get very stuck in our stress, and it's important to take your time to stop.
It gives me some peace, it gives me some quiet, and I don't think there's a better place to do that than in nature.
Consumer Reports says you don't need a guide or have to spend hours in the wilderness to benefit.
One study shows that as little as 20 minutes in or near green spaces may help lower stress hormones. And even something as simple as taking care of your potted plants could help reduce stress.
Some scientific reviews suggest your physical health can benefit too, linking spending time outdoors to better sleep, reduced depression, and reduced obesity. Among older adults, spending time in nature is associated with lower mortality from heat stroke, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes. Maybe you're wondering how simply spending time outside could reap such big benefits.
Scientists say that being in nature helps reduce your exposure to air pollution, noise pollution, and heat, all of which are linked to chronic disease.
In nature, you're also more likely to be physically active, which can help lower the risk of cancer and heart problems, as well as improving mental health and brain function. To get the most out of your time outside, Consumer Reports says leave the electronics behind and simply enjoy all that nature has to offer. For News 3 Now, I'm Leah Lynchide.
Consumer Reports says even if you're stuck in an office all day, there is evidence that just looking out a window or viewing scenes of woods and meadows on your computer could be beneficial.
And don't worry if 20 minutes a day is not possible. Committing to just 5 minutes wherever you are, feel connected to nature is a good start.
So maybe we'll head outside during the commercial break real fast.
Out to the patio, maybe?
There you go.
There's more to come at 4. Dr. Zorba Pastor will take your medical questions live.
And tonight at 5, city leaders could determine the fate of a controversial East Side nightclub this evening. We'll get an update on that decision coming up.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
We'll take a look at this. For a week or so around the spring and fall equinox, you can see the sunset looking down the east-west streets of downtown Chicago. Cool. The sunset is framed perfectly between the buildings on each side of the street. It's called Chicagohenge, and you'll be able to see it for the next few days. Why does this happen? Well, as you know, throughout the year, the sun sets at different points on the horizon. In the winter, it's a little farther north. In the summer, a little farther south. But during the equinoxes, with the east-west grid layout of the city, you have the perfect opportunity to see Chicagohenge.
Very cool.
That's really pretty.
Yeah.
It's very cool unless you're driving into it.
Driving into it, and I've seen pictures of the streets, and people will like walk out on the road to try to get a picture of it. Yeah.
But
so
it's pretty cool, though.
Pretty
I think that happens in New York, too.
Yeah, I thought
would
this was going
imagine.
to say New York City, but Chicago, I guess.
Chicagohenge.
Chicagohenge.
Should be a nice,
The name is fun.
should be a nice sunset this evening.
Yes. Of course, we get all the pretty colors with our sunsets when we have a lot of cloud coverage. Right now, there's not a lot of cloud coverage, but it'll at least be a pleasant evening temperature-wise. Heading overnight, though, we will pick up some more rain chances. We'll take a look at your forecast right after the break. So far, it's been really a pleasant day. Barely any cloud coverage outside. Looking at our visible cloud track, it's not just for southern Wisconsin, it's throughout the state. Nice blue sky currently. Temperature-wise, a little above average. We popped up to the low 80s. We should be in the upper 60s right now for afternoon highs. Dew points are in the lower 50s, so it doesn't feel too muggy outside, but it's increased just a little bit with that breeze coming from the south-southwest about 9 miles per hour. So really a pleasant afternoon. It just doesn't feel so much like fall. It feels again like we're a little back towards the end of August. Doppler track is quiet currently. No showers moving in right now, but we are going to have some rain chances develop mainly after midnight as this quick-moving cold front approaches and slides right on through the state. That's why we're so windy right now. We have the warmer air in place in front of our cold front. Behind it, we'll see a little bit of a cool down for Wednesday and then a big drop in the temperatures by Thursday. A little bit of a calmer breeze also for the second half of the week, but those shower chances really moving in once we get closer to midnight, and they'll be out of here by your morning commute. We're not looking at a prolonged period of rainfall. Through the next few hours, we'll actually stay mostly clear. It's again not until about midnight that we have these showers and isolated thunderstorms come on through. It'll be possible to hear a few rumbles of thunder, though not really likely that we'll have a lot of thunderstorm activity for us tonight. By tomorrow morning, a few clouds still hanging on the east side, but otherwise we should have a really pleasant afternoon. Shower chances to the north with some wraparound moisture, but most of that is going to stay well to the north, and the northern edge of the state will stay dry for southern Wisconsin. Now by Thursday, we still have a pretty sunny sky. It's not until heading into Friday that we have our next chance for some showers to come on in. And that kind of kicks off a little unsettled pattern heading into next week. Overnight temperatures will fall through the 60s. Because of that mostly cloudy sky, won't be nearly as cool tomorrow morning. Again, the chance for some heavier rainfall spots and a few wind gusts is certainly possible, though we won't see a lot of rain accumulation by Wednesday morning. We're in the low 60s for early Wednesday. In the afternoon, temperatures will be in the 70s with a northwest breeze. So not as warm as today, just a little cooler, but still a little above average for this time of year. For Thursday morning, it'll be a bit cooler early in the day without that cloud coverage. We fall more overnight, close to 50 early in the morning, and afternoon highs will be in the upper 60s, close to 70. So temperatures tonight, again, holding steady in the 60s. It's going to stay pretty breezy outside, though, just because that front is approaching a little tighter pressure gradient, so we get our stronger wind speeds, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, with some stronger wind gusts possible with some isolated thunderstorms. Mild temperatures and showers and thunderstorms picking up and then ending pretty quickly. We'll be close to 63 early tomorrow morning. Madison, tomorrow highs will be in the lower 70s. A partly sunny sky, a little cooler outside, but a really pleasant day expected heading into your Wednesday. Into the middle 60s for Thursday, so a little cooler behind that second day behind the front. Thunderstorm chances will develop late at night on Thursday into Friday. Friday, we have the chance for just scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. Saturday, a little bit of a break, which is good news because a lot of rain coming in for the second half of the weekend on Sunday and heading into the following work week. Shower chances will develop, and that unsettled pattern stays with us through the start of the work week and even heading into Thursday, possibly Thursday night also for next week. So a very rainy pattern for the next several days. We'll actually enjoy the sunshine for Wednesday and Thursday and the drier air outside before the rain really kicks back on up for us. Again, we're well above average for our showers this time of year. So to have the rain continue the way it is, certainly not a good thing. Not a good thing right now. Farmers could use some drier weather just to get outside and do what they need to do too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be very dry this time of year, isn't it?
It's supposed to be dry. We should be seeing our rainfall totals for the month at about 3 1/4, and we're already over 5 1/2.
Holy smokes.
And more to come.
More to come.
And more to come, yeah.
Dana, thank you. Well, 2 good Samaritans are being praised for helping a young girl to safety after her father jumped in front of a moving New York City subway train while holding on to her.
Dramatic cell phone video captured that rescue after the girl survived and crawled to safety from underneath the train. Meg Oliver reports from New York.
Oh my, little, my love, my little. A miraculous sight on the tracks of a New York subway station early Monday morning. This 5-year-old girl with only minor injuries crawling on the tracks from underneath a southbound train.
The only thing I think about in the moment is that the baby is still alive.
Jairo Torres, seen in the white t-shirt, jumped down to pull the girl to safety.
She told me like what happened to my daddy. And then I said, don't look at your daddy, come to me, come like a puppy.
According to police sources, the 45-year-old father was holding his daughter's wrist when he intentionally jumped from the platform just after 8 a.m. The train was not able to stop in time, and the father was killed.
The man that I saw jumping had a little girl in his wrists and in his arms. Next thing I know, he and her jumped.
They believe the girl survived by lying flat between the tracks. After being treated for minor scrapes and bruises, she was carried home by her godfather. The girl's mother says, "My little girl is in perfect condition, thanks to God and the angels that protected her."
Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
That is unbelievable.
Miraculous right there. Oh my goodness. Somebody's looking out for that little girl.
She's okay. All right, still to come at 4, the previously unnamed woman who was sexually assaulted by former Stanford University student Brock Turner back in 2015 is revealing her identity to the world.
Yeah, Chanel Miller tells her story in a new book, Know My Name. We'll have more when Live at 4 continues. Holding on to summer a little bit with that water and the boat stall still out. You're looking live from the Edgewater Skycam out at the lake. Just a beautiful day if you can get out there and beat the rain too, because there's a lot more coming. The previously unnamed woman who was sexually assaulted by former Stanford University student Brock Turner back in 2015 is revealing her identity to the entire world.
Chanel Miller shared her name and face with millions on CBS's 60 Minutes and CBS This Morning with Gayle King. Miller is also out with a new book entitled Know My Name. Lisa Mateo has her story.
In newspapers, my name was unconscious, intoxicated woman.
60 Minutes was there when Chanel Miller recorded her impact statement for the first time, coming out from behind the pseudonym Emily Doe, given to her by the court to protect her identity. Her statement, read during the trial of Brock Turner in 2016, helped spark the beginning of the Me Too movement.
I had to force myself to relearn my real name, my identity.
Now in her new memoir, Know My Name, Miller retells how she was sexually assaulted outside of a Stanford fraternity party in 2015 by Turner, a former champion swimmer. She spoke with CBS This Morning's Gayle King about her struggles over the past 3 years following the trial.
Well, you win, and then suddenly you're back in the present, and you look around, and you realize I don't have a job. I don't have anywhere to live.
Turner was convicted of 3 felony sex crimes and could have served 14 years in prison. Instead, the judge only sentenced him to 6 months behind bars, and he served only 90 days. Miller says the legal system should be more supportive of those who come forward.
We need to be working harder to create an environment where survivors feel comfortable being supported and knowing that when they do, some form of justice can be attained.
And that being intoxicated shouldn't be a reason to blame the victim.
We deserve to have a full life, and nobody is allowed to hurt you, period.
Miller says she now lives a life of gratitude with the opportunity to help other women find their voice. Lisa Mateo, CBS News, New York.
Well, next at 4, it's time to get your medical questions answered. The number to call, 270-9933.
Dr. Zorba Pastor is standing by live at his clinic in Oregon. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon. Good to see you guys.
What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about falls and fall prevention.
All right, we'll be right back.
Well, right now we're keeping a close eye on the westbound side of the Beltline. There is an accident just before Fish Hatchery Road. The center lane is blocked. You can see they've got the arrows noticing people need to get out of the center lane, but traffic is backed up quite a bit in front of that accident again on the westbound side of the Beltline. The eastbound side seeing the usual delays. That accident just before Fish Hatchery Road, right after Park Street, and delays are stretching all the way past John Nolan right now. The accident actually just happened a little bit ago, so those delays might just start to stack on top of each other. The eastbound side moving pretty slowly all the way from 151 past John Nolan. Around Janesville, we aren't seeing any major hiccups. 39 and 90 look okay. And around Prairie du Sac and Sauk City, things are a little slow heading into Sauk City and picking on up just fine heading towards Baraboo. From Janesville to the Beltline will take you about 27 minutes, 17 minutes to get from Sauk City to Middleton, and the drive from Sun Prairie to downtown is a little longer than usual, about 20 minutes this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
All right, Dana, thank you. Enormous fighting robots have been a silver screen staple for years, but now someone is auctioning off a giant fighting robot for real on eBay. The 15-ton robot named Eagle Prime was the brainchild of Megabots, Inc. In 2017, it competed against a Japanese battle bot in a grudge match streamed online, but now Megabots, Inc. is bankrupt and it's selling off Prime. The company posted the monstrous machine on eBay with a starting bid of just $1, but interested parties better hurry. Within 24 hours, bids have already surged to over $50,000.
Wow. I'm just not sure if I have the garage space,
No, 15 tons of Megabot?
Or 50 grand? No, none of those. No.
All right, Dr. Zorba Pastor is taking your medical questions at 270-9933.
So get him in right now. Go ahead and give that number a call. In the meantime, he joins us from his office in Oregon. Hi there, Dr. Pastor. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Not too shabby.
You're holding a seminar this week on falls.
Right. What I did today, actually, I was out on right around the east side in Cottage Grove at the Door Creek Church. And there were about 350, 400 people there, and we discussed the importance of preventing falls. The particular project is called Only Leaves Should Fall. It kind of has a catchy name in autumn. And I think the important down-home message here is that there are more people who die of falls in our listening area than die of murders and suicides combined. And it really shows the importance of trying to prevent falls. And the way you prevent them quite easily and importantly is making sure that you're strong, going to physical therapy if you need it, learning balance and aerobics to get yourself strong, putting night lights up around the house, getting rid of throw rugs that you might trip on, putting grab bars in the shower for people who are senior citizens, and kind of doing, just like you child-proof your house, you may want to fall-proof your house. Very important for senior citizens. If you fall and fracture your hip, there's a 25% chance that if you're 65 and older, that you actually will be dead within 2 years because of the complication of that fall. So we don't take falls seriously, and Wisconsin is always number 1, 2, or 3 in the country in falls, and we don't know exactly why. We make jokes that it's because we drink alcohol, but the reality is in Minnesota they drink as much as we do, and they don't have as many falls as we do. So it's important to get your strength up, make sure your house is fall proof, especially if you're a senior citizen. And if you have any questions, talk to your doctor about this, because doctors are really good at catching up and making sure that you have a safe household.
Very preventable in most cases.
No kidding.
All right, let's get to the phones. We'll start with John in Lake Mills. Hi, John.
Hello, Dr. Zorba. I have high cholesterol, and I've been getting statins twice, and I've been taking off the statins because of side effects to the medication. Besides exercise, keeping my weight down, and eating a healthy diet, is there anything else I can do to try to prevent getting a future heart attack?
You bet it. Lifestyle is really important. Not smoking, getting your weight down, eating a Mediterranean diet, making sure your blood pressure is under good control, all those lifestyle issues. And then there's a drug called Estembi, E-S-T-E-M-B-I-E, 10 milligrams a day. There's a little bit of research that may work in patients who are not statin tolerant. The data is not great on that, but the side effect profile is completely different. It's also under the name brand Zetia, Z-E-T-I-A. I think I would consider that. And of course, in a case like that, fish twice a week or 1,000 milligrams of fish oil might also help you.
Okay.
Right, great advice there. Let's turn it over to Tom from Madison. Tom, what's your question?
Oh, hi. Good afternoon, Dr. Zorba. My question is, I'm very frustrated and confused, like probably many, but I can't talk for others. It's in regards to cigarettes, vaporing, per se. I understand the vaping right now is...
Vaping, right.
Thank you. Is very prominent. I'll make this quick. My concern is, okay, cigarettes for years have been a very bad health issue for individuals. And now vaping has got this latest thing. Cigarettes get away with it. They put the warning on the pack. It's your choice. We're not making you smoke. okay, the vaping, why don't they just put that on the vaping thing you buy?
Sure.
And
So let me chime in for just a minute about the vaping issue in cigarettes. First of all, we know tobacco is awful. It is the biggest toxin in our environment. And vaping may also be just as bad. I've always been against vaping because we don't know what's in there. It's not regulated by the feds. We now know that there have been 250 to 500 cases, especially of young people who have had serious pulmonology, lung problems from vaping. So the answer is don't vape, don't smoke. That's the bottom line. The only thing that's safe to breathe in is fresh air.
Yeah, people are dying from vaping, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
Brian from Fort
Exactly.
Atkinson. Hi, Brian. Brian, you there?
I am.
Yeah, what's your question?
So I have a set of varicose veins in my right leg. How can I take the swelling to make the swelling to go down?
Oh, sure. Sometimes it's very hard because there's a valve in those varicose veins that doesn't work. There's some doctors that do something called a sclerosing procedure where they put a chemical in the vein and they actually get the vein to sort of push down so the vein doesn't bother you. Other doctors, surgeons, actually take care of varicose veins. If they're symptomatic and they're problematic, then it's usually covered by insurance. If it's only for cosmetic reasons, insurance doesn't cover it. Something I would talk to your doctor about, especially if your legs feel uncomfortable from those varicose veins. But there's really no good natural way to treat it. It's a valve problem where the valve has actually been destroyed in some fashion.
Yeah, it can be painful too in some people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of time, everyone. Thank you for calling in. Zorba, thank you for coming in on your day off.
It's always good to see you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
We'll have a final check of your forecast coming up. Well, what's the situation in the weather?
Oh gosh. All right, things look okay for us right now. It's a little warm outside currently, but
couldn't help it.
I know.
I know.
You were set up for it. It was right there. Right now, our visible cloud track, thankfully, doesn't have a lot of cloud coverage coming on in, though off to the west, we're starting to see some showers and thunderstorms develop. We will have those shower chances slide in after midnight, but your evening looks just fine. Compared to this time yesterday, our temps have jumped up a little bit. We're in the 80s right now for most of southern Wisconsin, 85 in Boscobel, about 81 in Madison. So it is a warm evening, but still pretty pleasant outside, and thankfully not too muggy either.
We were just talking about the need to turn on the AC again.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
a little bit
but
when the
Maybe
humidity.
just for a few hours.
a little bit.
All right.
Just to cool things down.
Thank you, Dana. Tomorrow here on Live Before, we continue to follow the latest on the impeachment inquiry of President Trump.
And it's apple season. Dinah Wyhoffet has some great recipes for all of us to try. We'll be right back. In today's Final Touch, check your attics, your kitchen walls, whatever. An art piece may be right under your nose.
That's what happened to an elderly French woman. A masterpiece of